Hello, I'm Bill Neal, and this is a special Laverne profile. We're featuring on this special program the life and to celebrate the accomplishments of John Skip Mainiero. It would have been nice to have celebrated and acknowledged all of the things that Skip has done over the years for the University of Laverne and for the community of Laverne prior to his untimely death. But just this summer, Skip died, shocking, of course, his family, his colleagues, and everyone who knew him. And it seemed appropriate that we honor Skip with a special profile. Laverne Profile looks at people who have made major contributions to the community, both professionally and personally in community activities, who are exemplary of the kinds of values that a small town like Laverne likes to think their residents have. Skip was an extremely gifted person that was respected by everyone who knew him. There have been so many people who've asked about Skip and wanted us to feature a program on Skip that we're going to spend this half hour talking with some of the people who worked with Skip, who knew him and loved him. At his memorial service, the church was full, overflowing actually. Fire and police, even who were on duty, were by their cars outside. Flags in the city were at half-mast. In the memorial program, a friend wrote something about Skip, acknowledging and celebrating Skip's life, that I want to share with you. This was written by Dr. Tom Harvey, professor at the University of Laverne, and it truly tells of Skip and the kinds of things that he did that really were magic. A touch of magic died today. He came to us in gentle ways. He loved to laugh, to work and play. A touch of magic died today. A man who was born to teach. A man who pushed us all to reach for the best there is in us each. Touch of magic died today. Passion marked his everyday, whether for family or friends or university. He adored each in his own special way. A touch of magic died today. So we all sadly say adieu to a life which will be matched by few. Oh, Skip, how we all loved you. A touch of magic died today. A touch of magic died today and never again will come our way. This is the University of Laverne President Steve Morgan.
The rock is really a message board for this institution. It's used to celebrate the opening of school and the closing of school and lots of events in between. This time it's been used to memorialize Skip Mainiero. Skip was without a doubt the most competent administrator with whom I have ever worked. He had enormous talent, and on a day-to-day basis he and I worked very closely together. And I think one of the reasons that Laverne has been so successful is that we had a shared agenda for this institution. And Skip was able to bring that agenda to life for the entire university community. Skip really is the one who masterminded the financial turnaround. I had a broad swipe with a brush and said, this is where I think we need to go. And he's really the one who put the details on it. He had the perseverance to make sure that the things happened that needed to happen. And that was just the way Skip worked. He was a perfectionist. He never gave up. Whenever he ran into a roadblock, he found a way to get around it successfully. Skip naturally loved people. Skip had a magnetic personality, and whether he was working with someone in the maintenance department or someone in the Board of Trustees room, he could relate to those people. He had integrity, he had a genuine interest in them, he cared about them. He helped all of us be the best we could be. That was just Skip's personality. Capable, the most capable person I've ever known.
Well, this Nancy Blickenstaff Tennis Pavilion is one of the projects one of the many projects actually that Skip was involved in here at the university. In terms of Skip being a teacher, I have to admit that I never signed up for a class with Skip, but that I was often taught by Skip. And I also know Skip as a teacher because of his reputation. One of the things that a good teacher does is to find out where his students are in terms of their own understanding of the material, and then be able to hook on to that material where they are and lead them into greater depth in the material. Much of what he did was to teach math, and you know what kind of paranoia a lot of people have about math. So therefore, Skip had to overcome several difficulties in teaching math, but he would explain to them, find out where they were, the level they were, and be able to identify with those people, then take them from where they were on into higher levels of math. He actually made them think that teaching math could be fun. And I think that was one of his great successes in teaching that math methods course for teachers. Another thing that he did about teaching was that he taught the faculty. It was very interesting to observe him when he was talking with faculty about the financial situation of the university. He would have good examples of what he was trying to talk about. And then he would also take us from where we could understand that and then explain to us so that we'd understand the financial situation of the university. So he's very effective in doing that. And as I said in other places, he actually had the faculty giving him a standing, not standing, but a round of applause after he was done talking about the financial report. Quite unusual in the academic circles. Skip, as head of the education department, was very effective, and he was able to provide both the motivation for his teachers to be better teachers, but he was also able to make hard decisions. When a student, for example, was unable to cut it in the class, he would have the job of telling that student, and what a delicate thing that would be, and what a very difficult thing that would be. But most of the time, when he had bad news for the student or for the teacher, he could communicate that in a way that did not alienate the people, but made them understand the responsibility of the university in that. So he was very effective in both encouraging students and teachers, but also very effective in communicating bad news when that needed to be communicated. He was a committed friend. So Skip was a true friend, and that's part of the thing that we're going to miss most.
John Blickenstaff, here we are at the corner of 3rd and D, really at the corner of the entrance to Old Town Laverne, and we're here today to talk a little bit about the dedication of this park to John Skip Mainiero. Could you tell us just a little bit about this project?
Okay, it's kind of difficult because Skip's death is such a recent memory and such a shock, but he was just the kind of a person that inspired all of us in the community, I think, to do our best and to reach for the higher goals. And so we have chosen to dedicate the park here in his memory, and I think it's a very fitting tribute. We have certainly strong memories of his life and all that he's given to the community. I think if I were to describe Skip and reflect back on what he left us with, it would be a memory of a person who had a very rare combination of talents. Skip had such a high level of competence, just a brilliant person, very creative, very sensitive, the ability to take ideas and contributions from a wide variety of sources and blend them together in a very humanistic and sensitive manner, which led to very positive results, very productive ideas that flowed from his work.
Tell us a little bit, John, about as an administrator for the university, his interfacing with the city and what kinds of things that he did in his direct duty, but also to serve the community.
Skip was a resident of Laverne, a very active citizen in the community, and as you mentioned, vice president here at the University of Laverne. And so for those reasons and combination of reasons, Skip took a very active interest and an active role in almost every issue that had to do with the city of Laverne and the University of Laverne. From tiny issues to large projects, you could count on Skip to be actively involved and in a positive and productive way. I think of historical preservation, where significant buildings here at the university could either be demolished or preserved, and Skip would take an active and productive role in the preservation of those buildings. We use the word partnership a lot in the description of our relationships with various entities, and Skip truly exemplified a partner who would work with us through the challenging issues. He would be involved in the Red Ribbon Committee. He would be involved in work with our library, building projects, community projects, human service projects. No matter what it was, if it had to do with the city and the university, Skip would be right in there.
Why is it so appropriate that this park be commemorated and dedicated to Skip's memory?
I think part of it has to do with the geographical location of this park. It's on 3rd Street. Skip lived on 3rd Street, Skip worked on 3rd Street, and the park is on 3rd Street. Another aspect of the geographic location is the fact that this park, I think, serves as a figuratively speaking and literally speaking, a gateway between the university and the Laverne community, a blending or a bonding between the entities, and I think Skip exemplified that bonding. So this park, I think, exemplifies the spirit of cooperation and partnership that Skip always showed in dealing with the community, the downtown merchants, the entire city of Laverne, all of those relationships with the University of Laverne. So it's a symbolic and very appropriate dedication, I think, to all that he so strongly believed in.
If there were just one word, and I know this is a tough task, I've asked it before, what one word for you would best describe the life of Skip Mainiero?
That is tough, but I guess the word mentor comes to mind, a person who set examples for us to follow. Again, I mentioned his competence, his professionalism, his sensitivity, his creativity, the love that he showed for people and jobs. And I think of a mentor as a person to try to follow and to learn from and to set up as an example. And to me, Skip would be all of those things.
Watch out. He's a great guy.
I'm asking about Skip Mainiero. First of all, tell me your name and what you do here at the university.
Dorian Logue, and I'm the assistant plumber here at the operations maintenance department.
If I had to ask you, or you had to give one word that describes Skip Mainiero, what would that word be?
It's kind of a father figure, so we would call him Father here at the shop for us younger guys, because he always made sure we were taking care of our finances and taking care of the women at home, or women to be, or children to be, or people that do have kids, you know, here, us younger people. He cared about us, and he always mentioned us about ULV family, and he was like the father of the UOV family, and that was pretty special to us. Y'all all made us feel comfortable here at UOV.
Skip Mainiero, what one word would you say describes Skip best?
Compassionate. He had a very understanding for the changes that needed to be done at the university, and he was working very hard towards making the changes to help and improve everybody's working capacities here at the university.
Skip was a guy that was around no matter what was going on, wasn't it?
Yes, he was. One of the things that I understand that he was one that played tennis 3 times a week, and then every morning when he would go to play tennis, he would take a tour of the campus to make sure everything was well and okay.
So it's kind of like his home away from home.
It was more of his home, more of his business. It was like he was the school.
Behind us is the Handwall Fitness Center, and Skip was really quite a part of the construction concept. Isn't that right, Robert?
Yeah, certainly Skip was a leader when it came to helping the alumni get in and actually organize the building of this building. When I first came to work here, he came to me and says, we're going to do a building with volunteer work, and I happen to have some construction skills, and you see the concrete floor if you can, and the patio. I did all the concrete there. And we hired a professional block layer because I think we would have really messed it up. But every one of us pitched in and helped the block layer, and Skip was instrumental in probably organizing it and making sure that it got completed. That plus the finances part of it, I think he controlled that pretty well too.
But he also, didn't he roll up his sleeves and
oh
get
my,
in there?
Yeah, he'd get into any phase of building, get his hands dirty and just be right there just all day, every day, just work as hard as he could. Fact is, I know he'd sit in his office, and every once in a while he'd come around and wanting to leave his office and leave his business office there and come out here and do work, because he'd come out 2 or 3 times a day while we were building this building.
Robert, what about Skip, the family man, and he got that granddaughter.
Yeah,
you're a part of that family.
Yeah, we really, the last few years that I've known Skip really got to be exciting. His son married my daughter Lisa, and then they had a child, Alley-Oop we called her. Her name is Allison. We would sing the Alley-Oop song to her. Really, his family grew from 2 boys and a wife to close to 20 relatives all of a sudden, and he was included in all of our family things, and we just have a wonderful time. He's an awesome guy. We would compete to see who that little daughter loved the most. I could hold her for 15-20 minutes, and he'd say, well, I held her for 40 minutes. I was the first one that got to babysit her by myself, and I always teased him about it. I said, well, they can trust me with the child before they can trust you. We were always trying to see who would be there when the child did a new thing, and it was kind of exciting. He just was a wonderful family man, just nice to be around, and I was really privileged to be a part of that family, and we still are. Just a wonderful guy to be involved with, just a wonderful family man, and I was privileged to be a part of that with the boys and with Nancy, and hopefully it's still continuing. They'll always be a part of our family, and we enjoy them immensely. They're just nice, wonderful people.
What if you had to select one word that really characterizes Skip Mainiero, what would that one word be?
Oh my gosh, just the neatest guy, and he's just a neat, wonderful guy. Just very sensitive to not only his peers in his business here with the university and bankers and whatever, but he was just as respectful and dignified and casual around the laborers, the people, the maintenance folks. We'd have barbecues down there at the maintenance department, and he'd always be there, and he'd always be invited, and just dig right in. When we were getting things ready for the wedding for the kids, he'd get right in and spray paint, pick up tables, move things. We were moving a piano just before the wedding, and he just right into with his tuxedo on, moving the piano. So that's the kind of guy he was. He loved to be involved. He loved doing things with his hands, and he loved being with people. I think maybe that was his biggest asset. He just loved people, I'd say.
Yeah. Again, let me ask you one more time. What one word would you say really stands for Skip Mainiero? There's many, but what one word would you select from those many?
Every time people talk to me and I use the word awesome all the time, I guess that kind of fits Skip. He's just an awesome man. We're really going to miss Skip, not only here at the university, the family will. Just the city, in fact, is going to miss Skip. He had a lot of associations with the city. Being a city councilman, we would deal with the city and the city manager, the building of the various buildings here, facilitating them through the process. The city's in the process of naming one of the parks downtown in memory of Skip. The university has endowed a scholarship in his name, and I'm sure that there's going to be a portion of the university that will have his name on it somewhere, and well deserved. Such a wonderful guy.
Almost immediately when the word went out that tragic Friday morning, the city lowered their flags to half-mast.
Yeah.
What does that say, Robert, as a city councilman?
Well, it says to me that here's a man that's well respected in all the arenas of the city. Skip was involved with the Red Ribbon Committee, and he was a guy hardly would ever miss, even and it was there and involved in that. He was also on the school board for a while. He would just communicate well, and I was involved with him also in some of the church things at the Brethren Church. So all of these associations with Skip, and it finally culminated with being part of the family. He's just a neat, wonderful guy, and the city realized and respected his involvement and his participation in the things that the city was involved in, and that's the reason that the city put their flags half-mast, and well deserved for sure.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you for letting me talk about Skip.
We'd like to think that Skip's memory will be with the university for all time. He touched the lives of many people, and we will never forget him.